Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting into the insights of Jessica Colaço. She's based in Nairobi, Kenya.
And her background is really interesting, isn't it? Half Indian, half Portuguese.
Yeah, fourth generation on her mother's side, first on her father's. But what really jumps out is how she talks about her life.
It's all about serendipity, isn't it? The people, the networks, community.
Exactly. And how those chance connections have shaped things for her.
Well, it seems less like pure chance and more deliberate. We're looking at her talk from Switchpoint 2016.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently, as soon as she landed in North Carolina, she was connecting with tons of speakers. It really highlights her concept of intentional serendipity.
Intentional serendipity, I like that. So not just waiting for luck.
No, it's about actively creating the conditions for those chance encounters, for ideas to bump into each other.
Okay, so that's really the core of what we want to unpack today, right? Her whole message about the humanitarian future.
And the role of the digital humanitarian in that future.
Which sounds kind of specific, maybe a bit niche.
You think so, but Jessica's definition is surprisingly broad. She basically says, we are all digital humanitarians.
Oh, okay. How does she define that?
Well, simply put, it's anyone using technology's power to solve problems. Humanitarian problems, specifically.
Got it. So it's about the use of tech for good, not necessarily needing some official title.
Precisely. It's empowering. It includes potentially, well, all of us listening.
Okay, so let's dig into that connection piece more. She brings up these 6 degrees of separation idea.
Right, the classic theory. Everyone knows it, maybe from the Kevin Bacon game.
Yeah. The idea that we're all connected by, like, 6 steps or fewer.
But Jessica points out how technology, especially social platforms, has really changed that game.
How so?
Well, think about Facebook. Even back in 2016, she noted it had already shrunk those connections down.
Down from 6 to
just 4 degrees of separation. For over 1.4 billion people at the time. That's a huge tightening of the global network.
Wow.
And this is where her intentional serendipity idea comes back. She hypothesizes that if we're deliberate about building networks...
Being proactive about connecting.
Exactly. We might be able to shrink it even further, maybe 3 degrees, possibly even 2.
So actively engineering those connections.
Kind of, yeah. Making meaningful links to speed things up.
This whole idea of connection really comes alive when she talks about Kenya, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. The story of how digital humanitarianism really kicked off there. It's powerful.
She sets the scene. 2007, the Kenyan elections, the violence afterwards.
And crucially, a media blackout. So getting reliable information was incredibly difficult.
A really challenging situation.
But in that chaos, 4 people, bloggers actually, connected. Juliana, Erik Hersman, Oriol Kolo, David K. They were all over the world.
Chicago, Orlando, Joburg, Atlanta, wow.
Yeah, geographically scattered, but connected online through their blogs and concern for what was happening. Early digital humanitarians, you could say.
So what did they do?
They realized the need for verified information. So they used... I think it was a mailing list initially, to reach out to developers in Kenya.
To build something.
Exactly, to build a platform, something to collect citizen reports, make the data transparent, show what was actually going on.
And that became Ushahidi.
That was the very beginning of Ushahidi, yes.
Yeah.
Spark.
And the speed was incredible, right?
Phenomenal. Jessica highlights this. They had a working prototype up in just 7 days.
7 days.
How they used SMS, simple text messages, for people to send in reports. And then they leverage their blogger network, those digital humanitarians, again, to spread the word.
So the tech was simple, but the network made it powerful.
Absolutely. It got international press almost immediately. It's a perfect example of what she talks about. People, tools, technology networks, all working together.
It really shows that synergy.
And Ushahidi didn't just stay in Kenya. Its legacy is huge.
Right. She mentioned its use in Haiti after the earthquake in 2010.
A completely different context. But the platform was adaptable. It showed its real value and scalability.
And that Haiti response brings in another key figure, Patrick Meyer.
Yes, a real pioneer. Jessica talks about how he and others used open source tools during the Haiti crisis to visually map what was happening.
How did they do that practically?
They coordinated volunteers, basically. People moderating information coming in from Twitter, from SMS, verifying it.
And turning it into a map.
A narrative map, yeah.
Yep.
Giving responders a real-time picture. Hugely valuable in that kind of situation.
So Ushahidi and the Haiti response really demonstrate the power of these ideas. Now, Jessica also shares her own stories of this intentional serendipity.
She does, and they really illustrate how these connections played out in her career. The first one is about mapping in Nairobi.
Before Google Maps was really a thing there.
Exactly. And she bumps into a developer, Brian, who's working with Android.
Just a chance meeting.
Seems like it. But it sparked an idea for her to develop an early mapping app for Nairobi. And crucially, Brian connects her with Erik Hersman.
The same Erik Hersman from the Ushahidi founding story.
The very same. So that connection was made.
And that connection led to more.
It did. Years later, Erik hears about Jessica's Java skills and reaches out. This leads her to a tech meetup in Nairobi, where she formally meets him.
Wow, so that initial chance meeting had long-term ripples.
Definitely. And this leads right into her second example, the iHub.
The tech hub in Kenya.
Right. Co-founded by Jessica and Erik Hersman in 2010. That ongoing connection, built over 3 years, directly led to its creation.
And the iHub became a big deal, didn't it?
Huge. Jessica points out it became a model across Africa, inspired something like 120 other hubs.
That's incredible impact.
And engaging, 177,000 people, fostering hundreds of tech companies, many using open source tools for humanitarian work, all in just 5 years.
Amazing growth. Okay, what's the third instance?
The third one involves meeting Patrick Meyer, the mapping expert we just mentioned.
Connecting the dots. How did that happen?
Directly through her involvement with Ushahidi. Being part of that network opened the door to connect with other key people like Meyer.
It really shows how these networks build on each other.
For sure. And Patrick Meyer, as she notes, is known for developing tools like SwiftRiver.
For filtering crisis information.
Yes, and open source verification tools like TweetVerify, Tweetly, really practical stuff for digital humanitarians.
She also touches on his book, right? Some key themes.
Yeah, briefly. Things like the expanding definition of who a digital humanitarian is, the challenges and potential of big data in crises.
Crowd computing,
using drones for data, AI for disaster response, and a really important one, getting aid money to support startup solutions.
Interesting. So moving beyond traditional aid models.
Potentially, yeah. Focusing on local innovative solutions.
Okay, and the final example she gives is her current venture.
That's right, Brave Venture Labs. She co-founded it in San Francisco after leaving the iHub in 2015.
And what's the mission there?
It's focused on building African companies.
Yeah.
But the how is interesting.
How are they doing it?
They're connecting co-founders, using principles from network science.
Yeah.
Inspired by people like Patrick Meyer, actually, and Eric Brewer.
Network science, so like mapping connections.
Essentially, yeah. Using data and their massive combined networks to make strategic matches between entrepreneurs. Very data-driven.
That feels like intentional serendipity scaled up.
That's a great way to put it. It really brings her whole philosophy together.
Which leads her to argue that entrepreneurship itself is a key path for digital humanitarians.
Absolutely. She strongly believes it's a way to make a real difference, to turn those tech skills into concrete solutions.
And she highlights certain values needed for that path.
She does. Passion is key.
Yeah.
She mentions someone named Heather as an example of that inspiring commitment.
Okay, what else?
Honesty. Taking initiative you can't wait around. A commitment to continuous learning.
The learn, fail, grow mindset.
Exactly. And crucially, teaching each other. Sharing knowledge within the community.
It really connects back to her own journey, doesn't it? Applying her computer science background in this entrepreneurial, humanitarian way.
It does. She really embodies the potential she talks about.
So wrapping it all up, her final message is quite direct.
Very direct. I am a digital humanitarian. Join me. It's a clear call to action.
An invitation for everyone listening to see themselves in this role.
Yes, and to walk the talk, as she puts it. To actively create your own intentional serendipity.
Build those connections, look for opportunities.
Be proactive. Recognize that you have agency, that you can use technology and your network to contribute.
So the big takeaway from Jessica Colaço's message seems to be this powerful mix.
Yeah, it's technology, definitely, but also networks, that deliberate connection piece, and the drive of entrepreneurship, all shaping a more positive humanitarian future.
Which leaves you, the listener, with something to think about.
How can your skills, your connections, combined with that proactive, intentional approach Jessica talks about, how can they help tackle some of the world's challenges?
How will you answer that call to be a digital humanitarian?
Technology is passion. Yeah. Mobile technology especially is my passion. I'm a research scientist. But the other side of me, I'm a mobile technology evangelist. What I mean by a mobile technology evangelist is putting Kenya, specific Kenya, on the map as a hub for ICT, using mobile technology, because for most of the Africans, the mobile phone is like their personal computer, and I believe in years to come we can impact social change in terms of development and all through the mobile phone, like mobile money. It's the in thing right now in Kenya, and also in East Africa and within Africa. It'll be like the main thing, having money on your phone, transacting, paying for utilities as a whole, and reaching out to the rural people. I mean, getting a bank account is really expensive for them. So if they can have something that's cost effective, something very simple on their phone, I mean mobile money on their phone, and they can do a transaction, why not?